everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about interviews, what to do and what not to do in them, and all the good stuff that goes in between, because it's interview season, which is terrifying but so exciting at the same time. Let's begin. Okay, so first and foremost, make sure you dress the part. You want to look professional. Dress business professional, wear a suit, wear slacks, blouse, blazer, wear very comfortable shoes because it's going to be a long day. So you don't want to get blisters on your feet, especially if they're new. It would be terrible. Make sure that you are being taken seriously with what you wear. Secondly, I think that it's pretty important to do some research about the PA program that you got an interview from. I mentioned in my first video that researching PA schools is pretty important because now you're here, you've made it this far. You want to know what the program's about, what they look for in their applicants, what their motto, their values, their mission, their goals are for the students, especially because you can ask them questions, which I'll get to in a little bit, but you want to be aware of what they are as a program. Also, make sure to practice your questions. This is a very, very important thing because interviews are all questions. Whether it's the typical questions or whether it's MMI, they still are looking at you, looking at how you interact, how you answer things, how you word stuff. They want to see what you got. So practice questions either with a friend, with a camera, and rewatching it in a mirror so you can see how you sound, because something in your head might sound completely different when it's actually like coming out of your mouth. So practice makes perfect. Make sure you know the answers to the big questions that most PA programs ask. You're gonna wanna know why you wanna be PA. Why PA versus anything else? Do you know what a PA is? Do you know how that differentiates from an NP, MD, a nurse, everything like that? Make sure you have this knowledge to back it up. I'm actually gonna link some questions below the video so you can have access to a Word document I used. And then make sure you also practice for MMI or multiple mini interview questions, because that is what is done in a lot of programs, especially here in Texas. So you want to be prepared for those situations. You're gonna want to see how you interact with students, how you interact under stress, under pressure, in different situations that you might not be expecting. So I will also link a good document underneath this video so you can Something that I'm really glad I did before interviews was having a few different moments in my head about a time where I accomplished something big, or I was proud of myself, or I figured out a way out of a tough situation. So have 4 to 5 different moments in your life, whether it's in work, volunteering, experiences just with friends, people in your classes, teamwork. Have good examples of those because they will probably ask you a scenario, something about a topic like that in your interview. And just having that in your head, it always allows you to be prepared for anything. So like, boom, you're set. Make sure that you get to your interview early. You know, sometimes you think that you have enough time to drive to wherever this is or fly and then drive to wherever you're going. Well, make sure that you allot a good amount of time to get to your interview and then get there early so that you're not stressing out. Make sure that you have prepared enough time to maybe walk around and see where you're going, so if you get lost, you have time to walk around, you know? This is also pretty important, and I just want to say it out loud, but don't BS your answers. These are professionals. They are in the healthcare field. They know what's real and what's not. So be truthful with your answers. It's okay to have some bad experience and then you say what you learned from it, but don't BS it. This is real life, this is you. You just want to be honest, you want to be straightforward with what you've learned and use it to your advantage. Make them see why you are a great candidate for their program. Make sure you also have a list of questions to ask any of the panel or just the program during the question and answer session, because it's good for them to know that you have researched their program and it makes them feel like you are serious about being a part of their program. Do 3, 4 questions maybe, just so you have at least an option if you want to have a good question to ask. Make sure to eat before the interview. I know that sometimes nerves get the best of us, but you want to make sure that you don't go in on an empty stomach. Can you imagine if you go in and then your stomach starts growling and you're like, oh, that's awkward. This is supposed to be a quiet environment and here I am. You know, so make sure you eat. Get coffee if you're tired because you're nervous and you're gonna sleep. Drink water. You have bathroom break. They know that you're human, so don't worry about it. You got this. Just take your time and and make sure that you are taking care of yourself first so that you can do the best during your interview process. Okay, so another really good thing to do is email whomever is a part of the panel or whoever is a part of your interview process, if you so choose, because it does kind of close the loop of the application cycle. And so sometimes people like doing that because it makes them feel like, now I can say thank you, and they might remember who I am, and they can associate this name with the face in the interview and then have a better chance. I didn't personally do that, but I know some people that have, and they thought that it was helpful for them. So that's a good idea. Do it if you want. And then last but not least, be confident. You can do this. If you have an interview, you just believe in yourself, go do it, kill it, and then be yourself throughout it because they're interested in you. So show them why you should be a part of their program and why they deserve to have you as a part of their program. Now I want to talk about my interview process. So my interview was on like a Saturday. So I ended up actually going the day before to visit the campus with one of my best friends, which was great because I felt like I was ready to go the next day. We drove an hour, saw where everything was, figured out where to park, walked up to the floor that I thought it was on, which it was luckily, and then looked around and went back home. And then during that drive, actually, me and her were practicing a bunch of different MMI questions, which was great. I felt like I got a lot out of that process of just driving and going there. Then came the actual day of. Picked out my outfit the night before, drove there, got there about 45 minutes earlier, and then I was prepped, ready to go, got hyped up by friends, and then walked in. Then they gave us a bunch of paperwork, we filled stuff out, got our name tag. We went into the classroom, we sat down, and then they brought out all the professors, which most of them are PAs, so it was super cool. They all talked about their fields, their track, and then what they teach now and what they will do throughout the program. So it was very informative, I enjoyed it, and then after that, they split us up into different groups, so you looked and you were either A or B, going to either interview first or second, and so I was part of the first group. So they got us down, split us up where we needed to go, and we each went into different rooms. My first part was, I went into a room, and it was with two other girls, and then we had a professor sit there, and we had instructions, so she didn't talk to us, she was just like, begin. We each read the instructions, and then we worked as a team to figure out how to put these things on the map. And so literally you just need to work together to show that you are a part of a team, you are a team player. Next was another room. So I was actually the head director of the program, which at the time I had no idea. And I was like, whoa, okay. So I went in and it was just me and him. And then I read the instructions, he left the room, and so it was an article. You had to read the article, take notes, and then you actually talk about it. It was a front and back page and just an article about like PA program online or something like that. So I read it, wrote notes, and then you knock whenever you're done with that portion and you explain to them. So then he came back, I explained the article, I summarized it with my points, and then I gave my opinion. That was done. Then after that, it was one last room. It was with another professor, and so she asked me two different questions. One was like, tell me about a difficult time that you got out of in like a group setting or something like that. I don't really remember, it was kind of a long time ago, but along those lines of like getting out of a tough situation in a group. I ended up telling her about this team in the science class, and so we each had to pull our weight, and so there was one student that didn't. I had to make the decision to tell them, hey, can you do this, and send it to us, and then we each ended up contributing, and it all ended up working out. She asked another question, and I ended up giving an example of me working at the pharmacy and doing a bunch of different work parts. So like, I worked as a clerk, I worked as a delivery driver, a compounder, and then a farm tech. And so I think I just ended up giving that as an example for maybe like a point where you were flexible, maybe at work or something like that. So that was the last part. Then, after we had all switched up and done each room, we had a few different essays to write. Very quick. I'm not an essay writer, but it was very simple to do. So this is where those 4 to 5 different life experiences came into play. So one was like, talk about a time in your life where you are very proud or you had a big accomplishment. So I talked about buying my own car, saving the money and buying the car. Then another one was some other kind of example of a situation where you had to get out of. Then we had a front and back questionnaire, kind of multiple choice thing, and you said agree, disagree, something along those lines, and you just have to fill it out. There's no right answers, but I think they just used it to see how you would answer the thing. That ended the whole interview portion of it. So after we finished, we got with some ambassadors, and they went and showed us around campus. They showed us the patient simulatory lab, they showed us the library, the cadaver lab area, where they study, all that stuff, where to get food, everything was really fun. our interview got concluded and it was great. And then I went home and I didn't know how to feel because that was my first and last interview. I ended up getting a call 3 days later that I was accepted and I felt so good. And I was like, done. Because you just really have to work hard. Getting the interview is one of the harder parts of the process. And so once you've got that, you're almost done. You can do this. So thank you for watching my video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you would like to see from more of my videos. Thank you and have a great day. Well, here's my dog. So, he also wants to be a PA and succeed in interviews, so.